So with that in mind, political analyst Dallas Jones joining us now. They're shaking his head through those comments.
You were, weren't you? Let's start with Sanders.
Good morning.
20-point win. Do you find that to be a huge victory? No surprise in this particular one.
Well, it's certainly huge for a campaign that's looking to kind of unseat the establishment and make history. I didn't find it surprising, however, given the demographics of the state of New Hampshire, and also understanding that Bernie Sanders is from the neighboring state of Vermont. You know, he's kind of known in the region, and so we weren't particularly surprised. I wasn't particularly surprised about the outcome.
When you consider the disparity of their messages and their approaches, Bernie Sanders and then Donald Trump also coming in as predicted with the polls, why so strong there in the Northeast?
Well, what I will say is that I was surprised about the margin in which Bernie Sanders won at a 20-point lead. In terms of Donald Trump, he put a lot of resources into the state. I think you know, New Hampshire is a bit unpredictable. Again, understanding the demographic and the extremes of the state. New Hampshire is an 85% Anglo state, and so you know, you have folks that have different ideologies, but it certainly played a role in terms of who emerged in that. The next test will be Nevada and South Carolina, which are much more diverse states, and that'll really be a true test, particularly on the Democratic side.
And it seemed like Kasich was pretty fired up about that second place win.
Well, he should be. I think what it shows is that Kasich has the ability to draw some of the mainstream support where he never was expected to do so. Understand that up until now, Kasich was way back in the polls, and here he comes charging in at second place. So I think it poses a real concern for those that were looking to garner that mainstream vote like Rubio.
There's a lot of expectation that John Kasich is really on the cusp, perhaps on the leaning toward not being a factor at all camp. Meantime, Ted Cruz wins in Iowa. Third place here. That's also not much of a surprise in New Hampshire, is it?
No, I don't think so. I think Cruz put, and admittingly, that he put most of his resources into Iowa. And so I think what we can expect to see is that this contest on either side is not going to be over for a while. A lot of times these things tend to take their own direction, and you can see where the cards are headed. In this case, I think we're going to get some pretty unpredictable results in states to come, including ours here in Texas on March 1st.
Well, we saw people immediately drop out after the Iowa caucus, and now we're looking at possibly, do you think, Republican Chris Christie? He canceled a big event, so it makes you wonder if he's sort of setting up the tone that this is, he admits this is the end for him.
Christie has to start thinking about his future. He came in a distant sixth. He needed to do well in New Hampshire. Again, him being from the region, he expected to fare better. I would not be surprised if we saw him drop out in the near future.
You talk about the lingering decision-making process. Watching the Sunday shows, there was one where they asked the panel members, predict when each party will decide. There were Mays and Junes.
That's correct.
I mean, you think that's accurate? You think
correct.
That's realistic?
I think that's very realistic. I think this will go close to convention time, particularly on the Republican side with there being so many candidates. I expect, unfortunately, I think as you move into some of the more diverse states on the Democratic side, I expect to see Hillary Clinton probably flip the situation that happened in New Hampshire, and I expect the margins to be as wide for her going into South Carolina, Nevada, where you have heavily Latino and African-American populations, which frankly just tend to favor the Clintons.
Well, it seems to just heat up every single week, something always new going on as usual.
That's why they have all these contests.
It's going to be interesting. I'm going to Wisconsin in 2 days for the debate, so I can't wait for that.
Oh, that'll be fun to talk to you.
We will look forward to hearing your thoughts.
Yeah, you stop by after that and tell us how it all goes down.
I will.
Good to see you here, Dallas Jones. Thanks for your time.
9:06 this morning.